Hello everyone, Seraphin here, and welcome back for more Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. When I left you guys, we were doing some soul farming, rather we were continuing to do some soul farming, and today is going to be no different. We're going to do some more of that. And I believe I've mentioned a couple times, this is going to last a few episodes, so again, if you're not interested, feel free to skip this one. If you are, I welcome you to watch. I can't imagine why you wouldn't want to, but, you know, not everybody's interested in this kind of stuff. I am, personally. I would watch people do this for days, but I'm one of those weirdos that is into this kind of thing, so. Killer Fish, we don't have that one yet, so why don't I go ahead and throw... You know what, there's an easier way to... or easier place to get that one. Maybe I'll get lucky. Nope, I guess not. What is at the end of this hallway? I don't remember anyway. Let's find out. I must have already gotten it, whatever it was. Probably should have been able to figure that out, considering the area on the map is already explored. But you know what? I'm just double-checking. I like to double-check. Hey, look at that! Free Killer Fish! It's absolutely useless outside of water. And even in water, it's not really all that good, in my opinion. So, maybe I'll show you guys some of the souls and what they do. I know I've done that with a couple of them already, but some of them are just tedious and dumb and aren't really worth using. They were just added as kind of filler, I guess, for the lack of a better term. Other ones are really cool, like the Lightning Doll and the Valkyrie and that kind of stuff. You know, I'd realized I don't have Tiny Devil yet, and Tiny Devil's a really difficult one to try to farm. Although there are some in this area of the map, so. Alright, hopefully this will be a lucrative area of the castle to explore. If I'm not mistaken, I have the ghost already, so don't have to worry about that one. What's up here? Oh, there's axe armors up here. Perfect. Need those. The fact that I haven't gotten one yet, I'm still a little bit salty about. Bone Pillar, that's a really good one. There's lots of bone pillars up in this area, so we should be able to grab that while we're here. There's also some potions up here that I missed the first time I was around. I know that for a fact, and now that I have Giant Bat, it will be trivial to try to obtain them. What's up here? I don't remember. More axe armor, more bone pillar. Still no spirit. Alright, well, I guess you can't have everything. Last episode I was musing a little bit about my affinity for Harmony of Despair. And I encourage anybody who hasn't tried that to give it a whirl. I believe you can download a demo of it for free on your choice of home console, be that Xbox or PlayStation. I believe it's on the current gen consoles as well as the last gen ones. So you can have Xbox One, PS4, PS3, 360, that kind of deal. I don't think it's on PC or Steam or anything like that, although I really wish it was. That would make co-op a little easier, in my opinion. I primarily play PC games, so that's my medium of choice when it comes to playing anything, and cooperatively especially because a lot of my friends happen to have decent gaming PCs that can also play with me. And we play Civilization a lot. That's something I might stream one of these times with somebody else if they feel up to it. I know you. If you've been watching the channel for very long, you might have noticed the Lost Planet 2 playthrough that Tenzuka and I are doing right now. I'm having a lot of fun with that. I haven't played that game in ages, and it's one of my favorites. So I like playing cooperatively just because it takes a lot of the stress out of more difficult games, I guess. Like, not that I mind a good challenge, because I certainly do. I like a good challenge every now and then, but sometimes I really just want to, you know, relax and have a good time and play some games to take my mind off things. As I imagine a lot of you do as well. I mean, gaming is very much just as therapeutic for me as it is entertainment, so at least it's been that way for most of my life. Sadly, my family has never been very supportive of my gaming habits, mostly because I used to do them to excess when I was younger. And that's my fault. I take full responsibility for that. However, now that I'm an adult, I feel like oh, look, axe armor, sweet. Awesome. All right, we can actually move on from here now because there's more bone pillars in other areas of this place. Oh, there's one right here too. Look at that. All right, so we have axe armor. We can move on to the next area. I guess, you know, I guess I'll talk a little bit about it. So, something I used to be very, what's the word I'm looking for here? Something I was never really all that keen on talking about was I used to have a pretty major gaming addiction. And it was with one game in particular, and it's going to come as no surprise to any of you probably. Hey, look, free Tiny Devil. It's going to come as a shock to nobody that it was World of Warcraft that I used to be addicted to. Straight out of high school, I was about 18, 19 years old. First year or two in college, and a friend of mine, actually two friends of mine, one of whom is still my best friend, and another who has regrettably left and has not spoken to me in many years. The two of them used to play World of Warcraft quite prolifically, and for whatever reason, I never got into it. The first couple years it was out, I used to play Warcraft 3 a lot, and I still very much enjoy that game. Back in the day, at any rate, and I love RTSs of all description. I've played the original StarCraft, Warcraft, Age of Empires, that kind of thing. I'm not particularly good at those games. I'm not going to pretend that I am, but I do enjoy them quite a bit. That being said, as much as I played Warcraft 3, I never really got into WoW, only because the concept of having to pay every month to play it really off-put me. And as a recent high school graduate and only just having a job for the first time in my life, I didn't have a lot of money to throw around. So I was very cautious about the idea of paying money to play a game every month. And quite honestly, I had never played I had played one MMO before I played that one, and I was not a fan of it at all. I just did not like it. I played something that's I don't even think it's around any longer. It might be. It was called Rose Online. This was back when I was in high school, somewhere around 2004, 2005 area. I know that dates me up quite a bit. I'm sorry. At any rate, but that was the first MMO I ever played, and it was with another friend of mine from high school. I enjoyed that to a certain extent, but I never really got into the whole social aspect of MMOs. I'm not a very social person, first of all. Second of all, I am not a big fan of having to grind a lot just to make progress in a game. So the idea of having to level from 1 to like 100 just to be able to play a lot of the hard, fun in-game content, I didn't think was worth it. So I just I don't really think I need to get into that right now. And again, the whole concept of paying for it really bugged me. I think if you're gonna own a game, you should just pay for it once and have it, rather than have to pay for it every month. But that being said, I was finally convinced to try World of Warcraft one day. I downloaded the free month they give you. Basically, when you pay for it, you get a free month of game time. So I tried it. I ended up really liking it, but I didn't quite understand how to play all that well. And come to find out, neither did my friends. They weren't very high level. They were maybe in mid-40s, and this was right when Burning Crusade was out, so the level cap was only 70. They certainly could have been much more, I guess, developed, much more higher level than I was at the time, but I caught up to them very quickly, simply because I guess I was just better at RPGs than they were. I've played a lot of offline RPGs up to that point. I played KOTOR, I played Final Fantasy, that kind of stuff growing up, but nothing MMO level stuff. But I got into WoW, and sadly, it pretty much consumed me from then on. I played World of Warcraft just about every day for a solid 2 or 3 years. And it's not something that I'm proud of. It's not something that I look back on and have a lot of fond memories of. There were a lot of times when I enjoyed playing that game, but there was really only one time in particular that I can remember where I genuinely had a good time. And conveniently, that was the time when I was the most social with it, believe it or not. But I'll get to that. So, for a couple of years, that's pretty much all I did, was lock myself in my room and play World of Warcraft at my house, my parents' house rather. And it got to the point where it adversely affected my attendance in class in college. Obviously, as a result of that, my grades suffered quite a bit. And it went on for quite a while until eventually my folks found out. They realized I wasn't going to class, my grades were awful, I was on academic probation for a while, and they pretty much realized that it needed to be stopped, but they couldn't think of any way to make me stop, because I'd always find a way around it. And so ultimately what they did was kick me out of their house when I was 20 years old. And that had a pretty noticeable impact. From that point, I didn't really have the ability to do any gaming because I was living I was living at my friend's house, conveniently one of the friends who got me into WoW in the first place. And I ended living with him for close to a year with no job, just because I couldn't find a place to work and I had no place else to go. That being said, I feel like I turned myself around after that point. Ended up finding a job, ended up going back to school, all that fun jazz, and put my life back together. And I really stopped kind of playing. There was a little while I was living there, we played a little more because, again, my enabler friend still lived there, so that was actually the best time for that game, believe it or not, because that was at the pinnacle of Wrath of the Lich King, and that's when I did a lot of raiding, and my 10-man guild was in the top, or near the top on our server, and we were awesome, and it was really fun. I met a lot of people that I otherwise would never have talked to. There's the giant ghost that I was looking for. Still no bone pillar, I just realized, but you know what? Why don't I go back up here and try to grab that before we head out to the next area. There we go. I knew I could sneak in there. But it's I have a love-hate relationship with that game, and I've come back to it now and again just to try it out and see what's new and that kind of thing, and I can honestly say I don't think it's gotten better. I think it's only gotten more boring and tedious as time's gone on. And as a result of that, now I'm just completely turned off to MMOs in general, because anyone who plays MMOs understands probably that WoW was like the pinnacle of that genre, and there really haven't been any games that have come close to its success since then. Which is pretty sad, considering that game is, what, 14 years old at this point? Almost 15? And still nothing that's come since has matched its popularity and success. It's a little bit shocking, to say the least. I mean, I'm not really all surprised. Blizzard puts a ton of effort into their games. I've known that since playing the original StarCraft and Diablo 2 and Warcraft 3 and that kind of thing. But even given all that, it's surprising to me just how remarkably successful that game still is, and the fact that none have come close to it since then. But that was a... I really don't know where I got started talking about that, to be honest with you. I don't know why it came up, but if anybody was curious about some of the low points of my past, I guess some of the low and high points, I should say. I did have a lot of fun with the game when I was playing it, but it did also lead me down some pretty bad, dark spots. So, now that I'm thinking about it, there's other places to get bone pillars. Why don't we just go to the next area and call it there? I'll drop down into this area here. We got most of the exclusive stuff in the chapel. We got the giant ghost, we got the tiny devils, we got the regular ghosts. You saw Quetzalcoatl there too, but we can find that in the inner quarters as well. Not the inner quarters, but the dance hall. There's Quetzalcoatls in the dance hall. There's a much easier place to get them. Never mind, I got it right now. There we go. Quetzalcoatl, con increased by 8. Quetzalcoatl, if you were curious, is I believe, an Aztec deity. It's, I'm not really sure how to describe what Quetzalcoatl actually is. I'm gonna have to admit, I know a little bit of the mythology behind it, but not enough to be educated on the matter. Let's grab White Dragon real quick while we're here. Con increased by 4. As you can see, Quetzalcoatl is a straight-up upgrade to that. Is this a teleporter room? Nope, that's upstairs. No, this we can get. Do we have Une already? I don't remember. I think we do. So we don't need to grab that one. I did not grab rock armor yet, but again, there's other places to get that. So we will head out to... I could go down to the study. That would probably make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? Yeah, why don't we do that? Why don't we just drop down to the study? It's probably the area where I should be going next anyway. There's a lot for me to do in the study. I know that for a fact. There's plenty that I did not have a chance to grab while I was in there. Maybe I can grab rock armor while I'm plowing through here. Who knows? But at any rate, so now you know a little bit about my, I guess, background. I'm not going to say my life story or anything, but a pretty considerable part of my history as far as where my gaming habits come from. And also, one of the major reasons why my family does not support them. Because they got to see me at my worst, and rather than understanding what gaming does for me and a positive aspect, what it does for me in terms of being a therapeutic medium, what it does for me as far as, just being an entertainment medium that I can sink time into and energy into. And honestly, I'm of the opinion that there are... Did I never come back here for that? Look at that. Alright, cool. There are a lot worse things you can be doing with your time and your money and your energy than playing games, honestly. I guess a lot of that also largely depends on what type of games you're playing. For example, playing something like, you know, what am I thinking of? Grand Theft Auto or something where you're just going around murdering people. It's not that I don't approve or don't like Grand Theft Auto. There's a couple of them I've played and enjoyed, but I'm not really into them anymore. I much prefer... I guess I prefer the more intellectual aspects of gaming, and I'm not trying to sound pretentious or snobby or anything like that. You play whatever you want to play and whatever you have fun with. That's my advice to people. As long as it's, you know, not driving you down the wrong path, or as long as it's not influencing you negatively or anything like that. Obviously, if you're a parent, don't let your tiny children play anything violent or sexual or anything like that. I mean, I guess if you really want to, it's your life, your kids, do what you want, but I don't encourage that. I'm not a parent, so don't listen to me, but I think there's a lot to be said with regards to the positivity of gaming and what it can do for people. That being said, I'm going to rant on a little bit longer about that maybe in the next episode. So thank you very much for joining me up to this point. I really do appreciate it. We're making some good progress. I'm averaging about 5 or 6 souls per episode. That's not bad, certainly. And that rate's probably only going to go up as we get going further. So, as I said, thank you very much. We're going to continue with more soul hunting in the next episodes to come. So stay tuned if you're interested. If not, feel free to pass them by. But until next time, this has been Seraphin. Stay classy, internets.